to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. It's Friday morning.
It's Friday when it... No. Are you okay with the whole Parsons thing? Do you know what I mean?
17 seconds in and he's mentioned Parsons already.
No, just...
No, it's all... Yeah. Completely. All good, mate.
Okay.
It's all good. I've had my time with you. This is our, like, tether years.
Okay. Let's show them the OGs today, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Show these young pups.
Show Parsons how we really do it. No, good luck to Parsons. Because to be honest with you, not a lot of people have had the privilege of actually coming into your premises here at Matchroom over the years to sit down with one of the best promoters in the world.
And don't forget as well, you've never referred to yourself as third person. You've never gone, yeah, well, and I was talking to him and he was talking to the Cougs. This is what this kid's doing now.
Is it Peter?
Peter Parsons. No, but he's like, yeah, because the Parsons, I mean, anyway, let's do some serious stuff. Go on, crack it.
Okay. Right, let's start with the breaking news from a couple of days ago with the WBC. And so, just a bit of clarity from your side regarding their statement. So their statement seems to have read that they're... I don't know if satisfied is the right word, but we use that word with Conor Benn's reasonings of consumption of eggs, etc., etc. Does this mean, because I read what Conor Benn put on his social media yesterday as well, but does this mean that Conor Benn is cleared of everything? Because it doesn't seem to mean that, does it?
With the WBC, yes. I mean, look, firstly, when you talk about clear to fight, Conor Benn is clear to fight, has been clear to fight, dependent on where he applies to fight. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I can't talk too much about the WBC situation. People think that I'm like trying to not talk about it. Not at all. If you look at Conor Benn's statement from yesterday, there is a lot that was said in the statement that Conor Benn is not happy about. And I have to be careful what I say here, but basically the reasons behind Conor Benn's case we feel has not been communicated correctly. And that's all I can say. So there's more to come on this. Yes, Conor Benn is now found not guilty by the WBC. He's not banned from the WBC. He's no longer removed from the rankings. He's back in the rankings. From our point of view, we wanted a decision on that before we move forward to decide where he's going to fight next. It is our intention that at some point Conor Benn fights in the UK. That's what we want him to do. Obviously, he has a big issue at the moment, personally, with the British Boxing Board of Control. He feels like he was mistreated. This is even before the case was heard because we never got to that stage. And we're going to have to go through that process with Robert Smith, with Conor Benn, because I would like to try and make it work. It is likely that his next fight will not be in the UK because I think it will be in May or June. And I just don't see us finding a middle ground by then. But Conor Benn will make a statement next week regarding his thoughts. And I think, as you saw from his statement this week, delighted that, you know, I've been cleared. However, there's a lot more he wants to say because there's reasons, there's a lot to come out here that hasn't come out in that statement at all. And don't necessarily think that that statement had anything to do with what Conor Benn wants to say because it actually didn't. But that's what I'm saying for now. So, yeah, hold fire on a few bits, but on the whole, obviously, we're happy that he can resume his career through a process that's taken place. Now, we have to look at where he's going to fight next, if we choose to apply for a British Boxing Board of Control licence, or how those conversations go with Robert Smith, and then decide where he's going to fight next. But the process is already in place to consider those licensing details.
Would you say it's fair, though, that he has to be, or the board have to be satisfied with whatever their investigations are for Conor Benn even to kind of really kind of carry on with his career?
No, well, the board. No, if he wants to fight in the UK, yes. I mean, Robert Smith now, I think we've had a conversation with him yesterday, which is obviously he's been cleared via the WBC. I'm not saying, I mean, you can't say that's irrelevant to the British Boxing Board of Control, but they're going to want to feel comfortable to let him fight here, as is, I won't go into details of fighters, but there's a lot of fighters that have had similar issues that have applied for licences with other jurisdictions that have ended up fighting in the UK. That's a different process. That's a permission to box. So Conor Benn could go out and get licensed by Nevada, New York, various different commissions around the world. If he wanted to fight in the UK, he could fight under that licence, but he would still need permission to box by the British Boxing Board of Control. Now, he could also choose to be licensed by the British Boxing Board of Control, and then obviously he would fight in the UK, no problem. So it's conversations that have to go through the process with Robert Smith. However, Conor Benn is itching to get back in the ring, and we will decide whether that will be in America. There's a lot of, this has opened the gateway, not intentionally, to some massive fights for him. Fights that now, through more through Twitter beef than ever anything, have actually become relevant. So whether he fights in the US, whether he fights in the Middle East, or whether he fights in the UK. But, we're not far off a year now since this test. So we're keen to obviously get him back in the ring.
But from your point of view and your relationship with Conor, I'm assuming that your standpoint is still the same. You believe Conor Benn, because in this situation, it might have been less stressful for yourself to kind of not to have. I'm not saying you would have thrown him under the bus, but this has been a messy process, probably a process with what has been going on that you've not been this involved in. Is that fair to say?
Firstly, this has been going on since September, every day since September, really. It's been the biggest news in boxing, really, for every day since September. I've had no involvement in this process at all with the WBC and the appeal and the hearing and the document and everything. I'm aware of bits and pieces, not a lot, but that's over to Conor Benn. I had a decision to make, whether I back him and I believe in him, or you say throw him under a bus. It would have been quite easy for me to say, I've got nothing to do with this, it's not my fight.
But why would you do that?
Because it would have saved me 6 months or 5 months of aggravation every day of my life.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
But I believe him. So I don't know what else you want me to, in this situation. And I've seen a lot that other people haven't seen, not just bits of information, but I've been around him for many years and in this process for the last 6 months. And there is no benefit to me to back him in terms of for my life, even for my business, for aggravation, for abuse. So, and it's all very well saying, well, Eddie's stood by us. I'm just telling you what I feel. I believe him. Many don't, some do. Hopefully more do now, but there's more. I don't feel like the statement is in any way reflective of the situation, actually. But again, we'll come on to that or get into that soon. But I'm not backing him because there's big fights to be made. I'm backing him because I believe in him. So I can't be more honest than that. And that's he's been through a lot. He's had a terrible time. Again, some people don't care and some people shouldn't care because it's not really their business. But I've seen it. I've seen what he's had to go through. And I'm looking forward to seeing him back in the ring.
From your point of view, do you believe over that kind of, say, year process, but especially since October, do you believe that you could have handled any of this differently from your side?
My side, I haven't really been involved. I've not been involved with any of his public statements. I've not told him anything to say. I've not been on any calls with the WBC. I've not been on any calls with his lawyers to go through the appeal or anything. So from that process, I don't think I've really done anything other than give you my opinion. I think the previous process, I think we could have all done things better, in honesty. But you deal with things that you've never dealt with before as you go in the way you see best fit. And I feel like we got the blame for the process when other people should have been, almost accepted within that blame as well, because we could not make a decision without the decision of the governing body. And that decision, as we know, took 5 weeks, and it kind of, it was a mess. The whole thing's a mess. It's still a mess. But what are we going to do? And he's in a situation now where he's clear to fight. He has been clear to fight since, even since he could have boxed in October. But we've gone through this process to have his case heard. Again, he's not very happy with what's been said, and he wants to unveil that himself. But he also wants to get on with his career and try and put it behind him.
Do you think that 270-page document should be made public?
Could be, yeah. I mean, in a lot of these situations, sometimes it's confidential, it stays confidential, that case, that hearing. I don't think he has an issue with that. Nigel Benn called me yesterday and said, after the statement come out, this is bullshit. I'm tweeting, I'm doing this, the whole, I'm not having this, I'm not. So you have to understand that's the reaction from our side. This is not, yes, he's been cleared. Oh, I can't believe it. This is, no, hang on. You can't say that. So I don't want to go too deep into it because it's not my business. I'm letting them handle it. What I will do is put the opportunities for Conor Benn on the table and bring him back into the sport of boxing in a fight that him and the team want. So I'm not I'm not involved with the British Boxing Board of Control, other than speaking to them and saying how do we handle this situation? That will be an application from him, not from us, from his team, from his lawyers. There's legal cases going on with other people that Conor Benn is he's on a mission, and you've got to just decide in life, what do? Do you keep going on that campaign and crusade, or do you just say, I'm going to get on with it now? He's going to be abused for the rest of his career. He's going to be trolled for the rest of his career. At some point you just got to go, fuck it, on we go. And that's really where he's at now.
I'm using the example of at some point, but pending outcomes and whatever we're going to find out, and in regards to cases, etc. But at some point, you're going to have to draw a line under it and say, right, now he has to get on with his career.
But that's the decision, really. At the moment, he wants to go for everybody. He wants, no, this has got to come out. We can't not let this information come out. He said that. I want to sue them. Oh, he stopped that fight. I want to do, and it's like you said, you've got to pick your fights in life. What's worth it, what's not. Right now, if I'm Conor Benn, I'm thinking about, right, that's done, on we go. But he's scarred. He's still scarred by the whole thing, and he needs to get over that. Because if he wants to fight in the fights that we're talking about, you can't afford to go in there with emotion from a situation that happened a year ago. You've got to draw a line under it, but he feels that he doesn't want to draw a line under it because he wants people to know more of the case he put forward. But at the same time, how long? I'm tired of talking about it, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. It's never going to go away completely. So you just got to get on with it and get on with your life and get in there and fight.
In your opinion, how is he going to be accepted by the British public and boxing fans?
I think he's going to be the villain. Conor Benn would love not to be the villain. He's a good good young man, and he wants to be supported and he wants to give the British public great fights. Unfortunately, this has happened. People will make their own opinions, and that's life. You have to deal with it. Not everyone's going to like you, and the better you do, the less people are going to like you. So do you worry about that, or do you just get on with your life? Because if you worry about what people think about you, and we've been here 100 times in interviews like this, you really have no chance. You don't ever think that you're going to make everybody happy. Don't ever think that everybody's going to be a fan, because they're not. But worry about yourself, worry about your career, and right now you have a clear path to continue your career. And massive fights. Massive fights. I mean, the whole world is going to be watching Conor Benn's next fight. They might be cheering him, they might be booing him, they might be tweeting him, they might be throwing something at the screen. I don't know. But they're all going to be watching. So it's over to you now. And actually, you know, you can go out there and put great performances together to maybe, you know, get that support. Or fuck everybody and do it anyway.
Just a couple more on this. This isn't even an argument, this is like, whenever situations remotely similar to this have happened, the common thing that everyone does agree with is that as a professional athlete, ultimately, you are responsible for what goes into your body. So where do you stand on that?
I agree. Again, without going into it, there is a lot that has not come out in that statement. And I'm not saying there's a lot I want to say, but don't always think that somebody else's conclusion was somebody's argument in the first place. Okay. So, yes, but actually what you said is actually irrelevant in Conor Benn's defence in this case. So, there you go. But I agree with you. It is your responsibility. You can't get to a situation, and there is a problem with contamination. There's no, you know, I mean, however people want to see it, there is. But at the same time, if you're signing up to a procedure, you're responsible. But when you're talking about trace amounts and contamination, that also has to be considered in situations. But again, the statement and the defence may be actually not aligned.
Okay, last one. Obviously, you've got a relationship with him. I've got a relationship with Conor Benn as well. But can you see other people, especially in boxing, obviously we see kind of, especially yesterday over the last, I mean, Domino's getting involved the other day as well, which obviously Conor Benn's been responding to all these tweets against him. But can you see their side of not having specific relationships where they would look at it from whatever other angle? Yeah.
Everyone's entitled to opinion. That the people who know Conor Benn believe him. And a lot of people believe him now because he's been found innocent. Some people don't believe him. And some people, fighters, have taken it upon themselves yesterday to tweet about it all day and stick the knife in. Some for, I don't know the reason, others just because they feel strongly about it. That's okay. You know, everyone's got an opinion. If you do an interview people don't like, they're going to let you know about it. If I do a fight that isn't very good, or I do a pay-per-view that you don't like, I'm going to get abused all day about it. And this is a situation where it just comes with the territory. Unfortunately, this has happened, and it's not going away. There's no point sitting there saying, "Oh, I can't believe it." And this is where he's got to go away. You know, Errol Spence, Gervonta Davis, Chris Eubank Sr., I don't know, Sonny Edward. Like it's all day. There's no point putting out fires. You have to use your energy and choose your fights in the right way. You know? Use it in the gym. Use it to focus on your comeback. Prove them wrong via the comeback. Win big fights. Become world champion. Don't worry about that. Always going to have critics. So, but I think it's hard for him. I don't think he cares about trolls, like just obviously. But I do think, you know, obviously, Errol, you talk about really good fighters, world champions that have their opinion. And people feel passionately about this. And I don't blame a lot of people for the opinions because that's why Conor wants more to come out. But how long? You know, like you're going to end up wasting a huge portion of your life and your career with energy and emotion on this. And that's like now. Almost, after about 3 months of it, I just made a decision to go, Mike, get out. Like, we just got to move on. And then still I'm getting asked about it because it's reared its head again. And when he fights, it's going to rear its head again. So it's like me. I don't know. People say, "Oh, wow, are you sick and tired of talking about this?" Not really. It's what I do. It's my job. It's a talking point. It's not going to go away. So on we go.
Ed, I don't remember anyone, like boxers over the years, so over the last 10 years, getting this much attention and criticism. Bearing in mind, there's been quite a few boxers over the years from UK, US, wherever, that have failed tests. Some cleared, some not, etc., etc. But this one seems to have, like...
I agree.
And reason for that is what?
I don't know. I mean, it was a hugely high-profile fight. Yeah. That's the first thing. And then Conor hasn't... I don't think Conor's played it particularly great in terms of his statements and his emotions, but he's done that all on his own. He's never come to me and say, "Oh, could you read this statement and you know, have your media team look at it." He's sort of, because he's got nothing to hide in his mind. So I don't think he's played it particularly great. But what I'll tell you this is, Conor Benn has had many options to get himself out of this situation by lying, and chose not to, because he don't want to lie. You know what I'm saying? Everybody comes up with an excuse, and forget the statement, because again, I'll go back to that. I don't think that's necessarily the defence. But early on in this, and there's conversations that were had many months ago that, you know, may rear their head one day, but he doesn't want, you know, he's never wanted to make an excuse that wasn't real. And that's why he's not happy with the statement. Anyway.
Okay, let's move on. Let's go on to last weekend. Dramatic night in Nottingham.
To say the least.
Yeah, it was. Look, I know we've spoken about this already after the fight, etc., and I've spoken to Ben Davison the other day. I think everyone's agreeing now, maybe even Tony Bellew, who had different, or slightly different take on the night. But I think we're all in agreement that Ben Davison 100% did the right thing at that point, which is what you said straight after the fight anyway.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I think Ben was right. I mean, Ben's handled it very well in the sense of, I respect all opinions. In that situation, there's two things that could have happened. Lee Wood could have found a way to survive the 8 or 9 seconds, which is a huge amount of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was great TV, wasn't it? See, that's a long time. You're talking about a dozen, 20 punches that can land in that period, right? There's two things that could have happened. Number one is, he may have held on, or fluked his way through the round, or taken a knee, or I don't know, and probably wouldn't have recovered. Number two, he could have got seriously hurt. And I don't think there's a definitive answer for either of those. So when someone has the opportunity, but the threat of or chance to get hurt, and even if it's a 50-50 call, which it's not, there's more chance he would have got hurt than he would have survived the round. So ask yourself that when you're debating it, when you're criticising, whatever you want to do. There was more chance of him getting badly hurt in that situation than there was of him making it through. So, you know, the only thing I said on the DAZN show was maybe if Ben knew exactly how many seconds left in the round, but I still think no. I don't think it would have really, you know, it would. And you just look at the fighter in that instance and say, he's gone. He can't defend himself. Don't care if there's 1 second left. I don't want one punch landing, not the opportunity of 12 or 20. So for me, and by the way, Ben Davison knows Lee Wood in that situation better than anyone.
So what are the likely chances of an immediate rematch to that of Warrington Lara 3?
Well, Ben and Lee are coming here on Monday to discuss. They want the rematch, there's no doubt about that. It's just a timing thing, really. You know, it was a tough fight, and would Lee be ready for May or maybe early June? Maybe. Would he be ready to perform at the highest level then? Maybe. And if so, I think he'll look to do that. The other option would be for Lara Warrington, and Lee's locked in to face the winner. But the deal would have to be right for Lee, and the preparation and everything like that. So he's obviously in the driving seat, and we'll talk to him on Monday to see what's next.
Okay, Andy Ruiz is now a free agent as well. What's the situation with Filip Hrgović then? Can you just give us your understanding of that?
Andy Ruiz pulled out of the Filip Hrgović purse bid, which is actually due today. I have been speaking to the PBC about Andy Ruiz, obviously for that fight, and also just discussing in general Wilder against Ruiz. But I was quite surprised, to be honest with you, to see that. And I know that Deontay Wilder's a free agent, but I was quite surprised because I knew that Ruiz was under contract with PBC. That's why I was having the conversations with PBC. And I just saw it like you overnight. So interesting, and we'll see if we pick up any discussions with David Garcia and Ruiz team.
What's the potential? We know you've kind of outlined your hopeful potential plans for your show in Abu Dhabi. What's the likely chances that you could pull off like a Wilder Ruiz to land on that card?
Yeah, it's definitely a very good heavyweight fight. So we are looking at 4 or 5 options for a headline in Abu Dhabi. That could be one of them. There has been some conversations with Deontay Wilder's team and Andy Ruiz's team, nothing major. But we also have a string of other fights that we're looking at, and we'll see what happens over the next probably week to decide if that would be an option to headline that card.
So the other options, which you've already mentioned before, are Bivol and Buatsi.
Well, Bivol and Beterbiev.
Oh, Bivol and Beterbiev.
Bivol and Buatsi.
Right, yeah.
Smith and Beterbiev double header. Manny Pacquiao against Conor Benn. Another heavyweight fight that we're looking at as well. Yeah, I think there's 5 fights that we're looking at for June 3rd that we'll decide which one's going to headline in due course.
Is it going to be the one that you haven't mentioned to us? No. Is it when you do that? List like 4 really good fights and then there's another fight.
So it's going to be, no, I can't say. But it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great card, June 3rd.
When you're looking to kind of, I know June's not that far away, so when you're looking to kind of, rubber stamp that and have that announced.
Yeah, we're looking.
Rubber stamp.
We're looking to rubber stamp it in the next week. I think we'd have a press conference. I mean, we got, the main focus right now is Canelo Alvarez, May 6th, and Abu Dhabi June 3rd, and obviously May 6th announcement should come sooner. But yeah, both of those very close to announcements now.
And are we to assume that John Ryder is going to land that fight?
That's the fight we'd like to make. Yeah, we're obviously in deep negotiations with everybody to make that happen. Sal said Guadalajara May 6th will be his next fight, so hopefully you'll get an announcement very soon that that's John Ryder.
Who wins, Jake Paul or Carl Froch?
Oh, that one. Yeah, I just saw, before we started this interview, I just saw Jake Paul, because I've had a massive U-turn on this fight. Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. Right. And when I watched the press conference yesterday, I just started thinking to myself, Jake Paul looked, I didn't say petrified, but he didn't look particularly comfortable. And I just feel like if Tommy Fury is aggressive in this fight from the first bell, there is absolutely no way he can't win this fight. And he's an outsider, isn't he? With the bookies. So, and I think Jake's really improved. And I'm not, because before I was like, God, then neither of them are great, but I just think Jake Paul wins. But I've just been thinking about it, and I think when you analyse it sensibly, like Tommy Fury, fairly limited as a professional fighter, but he's been doing it most of his life, can punch, knows how to punch correctly. If he's aggressive, if he puts it on Jake Paul, if he backs him up, doesn't go 2 rounds. And Jake Paul against Carl Froch is, Carl Froch is like been retired for 8 years, still a horrific mismatch. But you'll see on Sunday. Listen, if Jake Paul beats Tommy Fury, you certainly don't have to give him credit of becoming a world contender, but you have to give him credit for sure. And I do give him credit already. But I just think if Tommy Fury, who has been boxing for, how old is he, Tommy Fury? 24, 25? Yeah. For 10, 12 years. amateur fights, pro fights, spars. If he can't beat Jake Paul, then honestly, it is genuinely embarrassing for him. If he's aggressive, if he goes on the front foot from the first bell, if he sticks it on him, the fight don't go 2 rounds. But I'm going to watch.
Fly out there, get yourself involved,
I was
mate.
thinking about it. I was mad. I'm surprised you're not there.
No, the boys are there. Apparently Ronaldo's going to be in attendance as well.
I would think so. It's a good. It's an 8-round fight that's getting a lot of, and I don't mind it as a fight. It's not YouTube boxing in my opinion, but it's an 8-rounder headline and a pay-per-view card. But look at the platforms that both guys have got. So good luck to them.
Have you seen the belt on offer? Yeah. It's a pretty belt.
Very pretty belt.
Yeah. What do you think about the outrage of them being put in the top 40, the winner? Because I'm assuming it is both of them, not just Jake Paul.
Look, there's fighters in the top 40 that you would never have heard of, and when I heard about it, I thought it was top 15, which I thought was bang out of order for boxing. But top 40, it's a publicity stunt. And it's like, we slot him in the top 40. Should he be in there? Not really, but it's the top 40, like. And the WBC are out there with a special belt. It's boxing.
It's boxing indeed. I think you should just rock up there, mate.
Maybe.
Everyone else is there, apparently. Mike Tyson and, yeah. Devin Hain is there as well. So, following from our last conversation where you kind of put the idea out about Anthony Joshua comes through Franklin, that you might make a play there if the Fury and Usyk fight wasn't to materialise. Where are we with that? Just from your comments.
No, really. I mean, I've told George Warren that we'd be prepared to do that, but I think that they've obviously got their own, not problems, but route they want to take with Alexander Usyk. I saw John Fury's comments last night, which just signals alarm bells everywhere. So I don't know what's going to happen. All I'm saying is that we would be prepared to do a deal now for AJ against Fury if he comes through Jermaine Franklin. And that was it. No one's calling him out, no one's trying to be clever. I'm just putting that out there, and that's been put out there to their team. But I think Tyson Fury's not going to be interested in going through that process unless it was either done or behind the scenes was locked in, and maybe that's a route we take, or he knows what he's doing in April. So that's none of my business. I hope he fights Usyk. But I see, not often I agree with John Fury, but I see the argument, but sometimes if you want something so badly, like the Undisputed Championship, you have to swallow a deal to make it happen. And that's going to be, both sides are going to have that situation now. Tyson Fury is obviously saying, no way I'm giving Usyk 50-50. And Usyk will be saying, there's no way I'm not doing this fight for 50-50. I've got 3 belts. So someone's got to go, I'll take a deal I don't believe in because I want this. And that rarely happens in boxing.
But you say swallow a deal. Is that something that you would have done for your fighter, say it was Anthony Joshua in that same situation?
I think in the situation of Alexander Usyk, which is a different situation, because the reality is the commercial value of Tyson Fury is on another level to Alexander Usyk. So if you're Team Usyk, you either have to accept that and say, I'm going to take 70-30 or 60-40 or whatever the offer is, because I believe I'll win this fight. Or you're stubborn and you go, and I'm not saying that's not right, and say, no, that's wrong. That is wrong, and I'm not taking that fight. And this is what happens in boxing. When AJ was champion, we offered Tyson Fury 60-40. He didn't accept it. He wanted 50-50 when he wasn't champion. And people said, no, we don't think that's right. But it's not right or wrong, it's just opinion. No one can tell you what's actually right or wrong. One hand you can say no. One's a unified champion, one's a heavyweight, he's a big name, but he's got more belts. It's 50-50, don't be ridiculous, just get it on. Which is the general perception of most fight fans. And others might say, no, Tyson Fury should be on 70% of that pot. He's a much bigger name than Alexander Usyk, and that's right as well. But it's going to come down to the individual, how much do you fancy the fight? And the same way we talk about Alexander Usyk accepting the fight, We talk about Tyson Fury accepting the fight. If Usyk comes back and says, absolutely no way, it's 50-50 or no fight. If Fury really believes he can win, and if he actually wants to become undisputed, then maybe he goes, I don't think this is a good deal at all, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to win all the belts. And then beyond that, there's commercial opportunities for me, there's bigger fights, etc. Or he might just go, no chance, mush. Probably the latter.
Interesting, and you're just kind of waiting in the background.
I think I should retire and just be like a pundit. Do you know what I mean? Because I know everything. I can tell you exactly what's happening in every situation.
Yeah, but that's your version of it, isn't it?
I can't tell people are going to decide, but I can tell you what will be happening right now.
Yeah, I think you're quite qualified to
Thanks, mate.
to make your comment on that. Did you know Floyd Mayweather's fighting in tomorrow at the O2 against Aaron Chalmers? Yeah. Wow. Floyd's first UK appearance in the ring, be it exhibition, but yeah.
Weird. I mean, no one knows it's happening. Well, they will now because we've just mentioned it. But it's just it's weird. It's just weird. But good luck to everybody.
Could do a double header. You come to see Floyd, then go to Jake Paul on Sunday.
No.
Because I'm sure you've got better things to do on your weekend.
Going to Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Got a show in Mexico next week, in Culiacan, and then we're in Liverpool, March 11th. Then we're in Newcastle, March 18th. Then we've got nothing. Then we've got Small Matter of Anthony Joshua, return to the O2, April 1st. Then we've got San Antonio, April the 8th. Then we've got Rakimov Cordina, April 22nd, banging card in Cardiff. April.
Do you know what? I'll stop you there. That card,
Great card.
is a very good card.
Thank you. And more to come.
That Dil Mahoney and Zelfa Barrett's a great fight.
Also, Jordan Thompson against Luke Watkins. Yeah. Gavin Gwynn against Woodruff for the British and Commonwealth. Great card. And then the week after, maybe Dalton Smith, see how he gets on. And obviously, we've got Harper, Brackhouse. And then we go into May. And obviously, hopefully, Canelo against John Ryder, Taylor Serrano. Then we go into June with June 3rd, the big show in Abu Dhabi, and much more to come.
You might go April 29th.
Yes, we will be going April 29th. We just don't know whether it will include Dalton Smith yet, because obviously he got cut in that fight. So we'll be making an announcement on that early next week.
So regardless of a situation with Fury and Usyk...
If Fury did go April 29th, we would move.
Right, your ego's that big that you would try and compete with that. Come on. What's happening with Dillian White?
At the moment, really looking at offering him the AJ fight. I think he's talking to various people about different fights as well. It's just whether he wants to wait till the summer to fight AJ or get out in May or June. It's an interesting situation. And we'll catch up with him and see what his plans are.
Do you think he'll jump straight into an AJ fight without taking kind of an equivalent to what Joshua's doing now?
He's had his fight after the defeat. I think he would do, but it's just he'd definitely jump into that fight now. It's just a case of when. Does he want to wait till June or July, or does he want to get another fight in? I think ideally he'd probably like to get another fight in, but like you said earlier, June, July, it's not that long away.
How many buys? You said it does about 300,000 buys, didn't it? Jake Paul and Tommy Fury just come back.
Reasonable size, yeah. 200 to 300. I don't like it on a Sunday, to be honest. I thought it was on a Saturday. I don't like it on a Sunday. I'm not sure the reasoning behind that, but still, it's Saudi, it's early, so...
There's a big difference between being at 4 in the morning. It's going to be on at a decent time of like 9, 10 o'clock.
On Sunday, there's a lot of young people that want to watch this fight as well. So, but I think it would do good numbers.
Okay, just looking at what you're wearing, I like it.
Well, listen,
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I've been to the gym already, and now I'm doing my run. So obviously I look absolutely hideous, but we move.
Do you want people to know you've been to the gym though, don't you? Because every time you do any interview...
I don't know, I just went down there earlier. No. I'm just loving training at the moment. I feel great.
A new lease of life or midlife crisis?
New lease of life. Yeah, no, I do. I really feel like there's no crisis. It's just I'm feeling fucking amazing. And I'm loving training. Obviously, you know, on the nutrition buzz now and the recovery and stuff like that, yeah. So.
Should I recommend something to you, mate? Cool. Ice baths. Definitely should do ice baths.
Have you tried them?
You spoke for 7 minutes on a fucking interview, mate.
You've done 40 minutes.
Have I?
Yeah.
What, is that time out?
It is. We've got to go.
You give Charlie Parsons 43 yesterday.
You know what? Because the Matchroom Run Club is about to do a 5 miler, genuinely.
Well, actually?
Yeah. We started a run club here. where everybody will meet up once a week and do a big loop. It's like 7.5 kilometres.
That was fun in Nottingham the other day, wasn't it?
It was good.
Well, I didn't do the run, obviously.
You
But
should start. Get active, people.
Eddie Hearn, we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
And enjoy Mexico. I probably won't see you next week, will I?
You won't, because I'll be in Mexico. Tune in live on DAZN.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.